And I'm not referring to the pandemic going on with the coronavirus. I'm referring to an epidemic dealing with the shooting and killing of unarmed black people in the United States of America. We find ourselves yet again in a situation where an unarmed black man was shot in the back. That's undisputed. It is also undisputed that Tyris had no weapon on him. Not only did he have no weapon on him, he had no weapon around him. He did not have any weapon, any gun, any knife, anything that could be reasonably conceived to be a weapon within 5-mile radius of him. And yet he was still shot. And it begs the question, why? We find ourselves yet again in the midst of another senseless shooting of a young black person. And it makes no sense. Now, we're thankful to the mayor of Rockford for, at the very least, asking for body cameras to be instituted. I believe he asked for that this morning. And it's never too late to be on the right side of history. Though I'm sure Tyris's parents wish they were instituted earlier on. And that's really not the point. And you're going to hear from his mom and his dad. What they really want is transparency, which they haven't been getting at all. Have you been getting transparency?
No.
Have you been getting transparency? Has anyone been getting transparency?
No.
And so we're looking for transparency. And not only that, they've been informed that the shooting is under investigation. And my question is, what are we investigating? We have a situation that involved, at the very least, a traffic stop or fleeing and eluding. No violence is being alleged. This situation should have ended up with a traffic ticket at the least and an arrest for a misdemeanor at the most, not a shooting in the back. So what are we really investigating? Tyris is now being accused of having a gun or a weapon on him. We know the police officer shot him in the back. The only investigation that we're asking for and the family is asking for is a criminal investigation into the police officer's conduct. Is this the first time he's shooting someone in the back? Has he had other complaints about him, against him, involving excessive force? Those are the questions that need to be asked. It is offensive to the family hearing that they're investigating the shooting when everybody knows the facts around the shooting. It's not being disputed. The state's attorney's office came out indicating that Tyris was shot in the back at least twice and indicated that they didn't find a weapon. So what are we investigating? A criminal investigation needs to be launched. The family is going to be filing a complaint with the FBI to launch a separate investigation, the Civil Rights Division. And we're asking for the state's attorney's office to follow the lead of the mayor and do the right thing and be on the right side of history, and to launch a criminal investigation into this officer. And if they can't do it, they should appoint a special prosecutor in this case, or an independent prosecutor, to look into it. This has to stop. A traffic stop has ended now with a young man fighting for his life. I cannot even assure you, and I hate saying this in front of the parents, I don't know if Tyris is going to make it, and we're praying he does. But I've been informed this morning by the hospital through the family that he has surgery today. And so we don't even know if he's going to make it. And we pray he makes it. We're all praying. But this needs to stop. We have the vaccine for this epidemic. And it's police reform. It's body cameras. It's proper training. It's implicit bias training. It's getting the bad cops off the street. It's instituting proper reforms. That's the vaccine. We don't need to wait for Regeneron to give us a vaccine, or any of the scientific companies, or we don't need clinical trials. We know what to do. It's going hard against bad police officers. And I used to be a prosecutor in Cook County. And it needs to stop. And at this point, I'll let the family speak.
First, I just want to start off by saying I want to thank everybody for being here publicly. There's been a lot of support from the community, from people that I've never met in my entire life. So I just want to thank on behalf of my family and extended family for everyone coming together as a community to realize there is a problem, and it's the police brutality that our city has been dealing with for a long time. And not only our city, but all over the United States, there's family that's being affected by the same issue that I'm dealing with right now. So today, our family is going to stand up and we're going to take back our community, and we're going to fight for justice, not only from here in our own town in Rockford, Illinois, but all over the world where there's other families that are suffering from the same events every single day. I just ask that everybody, excuse me, I'm nervous, you all, so I do apologize. I just ask that everyone remember that he's innocent until proven guilty. And no matter what the circumstances were, my son is laying in a hospital bed right now fighting for his life by himself. No one's at his bedside but those nurses and those doctors. Yeah, so please just pray for my son and our family to give us strength and courage, and for us to hold on to our faith so we don't forget who's in charge here. And the police officer, if you're somewhere watching, I just want you to know how much you've affected our life and how much pain you've brought not only to my heart but in my soul. I do pursue an investigation is going to come upon you. So we are looking, so just beware that we are looking to prosecute you for the wrongful that you've done behind your actions and have caused our family with this tragedy. So I'm gonna break it up, and I'm gonna let Dad step in and say a few words. But I just need encouragement. Everyone stay together as a community. Don't turn your backs on each other, because at this point we all are. This is all we have is each other.
Thank you all once again for coming out,
Take your mask off, son.
being a part of this situation that's going on. And I just want to see justice for my son, because nothing like this should happen to any parent. And I thank you all once again.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions, the family is here to answer them. But at this time,
what's the situation is? What was the response to folks who say that every police department in the country could have body cameras, but if policies aren't changed, all you're going to see is cameras recording brutality and things that shouldn't be allowed. Please.
You're absolutely right, and that's why I stated earlier, apart from the body cameras, they have to institute proper police reform, proper training. But I do feel with body cameras activated, not just having body cameras and all of a sudden they're not working on that particular day, but actually activated and working, I think even bad police officers would think real hard before they do something illegal. But it's a first step. I think once the public knows there's a shooting and there's a body camera that they get to watch and see what happened, I think that goes a long way, as opposed to having a situation where we don't have body cameras. So you're absolutely right. It's not the only step, but it's a first step towards more reform.
As far as this investigation, would that be specifically against the officer, the department as a whole? Can you kind of explain maybe what that process, I guess, will look like from here on out?
Well, obviously, it's an investigation into the shooting of Tyris, which naturally involves the police officer who pulled the trigger. There were other police officers on the scene. What we like to know is they didn't shoot. They didn't feel the need to shoot. Why this particular police officer? What's going on with him? And I don't know. We want to find out. And, you know, we want transparency. We want to find out what's going on. So obviously if there's a problem, if there's an environment created by the police department that allows for this conduct to go unchecked, then absolutely there needs to be a wider investigation and a better reform instituted for the police department.
There were some conflicting reports early on. We heard that Tyris was involved in a non-life-threatening situation, and then we heard he was in stable condition and critical. What is the actual situation right now?
Well, at this point, I'm not a doctor. We've also been, I think the reason we're hearing different reports is with anything medical, your condition can change. Initially, he was in critical condition. At some point, he became stable and reverted back. Right now, I can tell the members of the press corps today that his condition right now is that he's about to go into an operation or procedure at some point later today or tomorrow. With any procedure or operation, we all know that it comes with risk. And at this point in time, he's not doing well. I believe as of yesterday, he was still, or 2 days ago, he was in induced coma.
He's still in coma.
That's not a good position for anyone to be in. And the real question is, okay, he recovers from that. What's his prognosis moving forward? Would he be able to walk? Would he be able to function the way a normal person in his position should function? These are all questions we don't have the answers to at this point in time. But the bigger thing is we shouldn't be in this position in any event, and it has to stop.
On Friday, at the scene of the shooting, Rockford police say that Mr. Jones was going towards another vehicle. That's why the officer...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I apologize.
No, not a problem. So on Friday, at the scene of the shooting, Rockford police say that Mr. Jones was headed towards another vehicle. That's why they initiated the force. Is there a comment on that? Is that statement untrue?
It's very interesting. It's interesting. This usually comes up, and I don't like focusing on things like this, and here's why. Because when we focus on things that are not relevant to the actual event, what's relevant to the actual event is, in order to use deadly force, was Tyris posing a deadly threat to the police officers. And from every press conference, every statement from the state attorney's office, it's clear that he was not. And so, this is what usually happens in these cases, where we have a situation, we know the standard, which is you can use force, you can use deadly force if there's deadly force towards you. And then, what we start hearing is people going in tangents to distract. Well, what's his history like? What did he do when he was 12 years old? Did he take candy from the fridge? Does he have a warrant? He was a bad boy in school. He never said good morning. And that has nothing to do with the fact that we live in the most, supposedly, the #1 democratic country in the world. We spend millions of dollars, the United States, sending out people, the State Department, to train developing nations on better police practicing. They did it in Afghanistan. So why should we, in our own backyard, have a situation where police officers feel they're entitled to shoot people in the back and they think they will get away with it by saying, oh, he had a criminal record, oh, he did this, oh, he was rude to me? That's wrong. And that's why I hate going into that. What we do know is he had no weapon on him. They didn't find a weapon in him. The other police officers didn't shoot. The other police officers, to my knowledge, didn't even unholster their weapons. And this particular police officer is the only one who shot, even though there was no threat. And that's really what the news should focus on.
And with this being an investigation, can you kind of clarify, is that separate from a lawsuit? And I guess the second part of that question is this maybe the first step?
Yeah, correct. At this point, I could tell you the family is not really focused on a lawsuit. They're focused on getting answers. They're not getting any answers. I mean, no one's told them anything. They're getting most of the information from doctors in the hospital. They're getting information from the media. Nobody's calling them. Has anyone called you to talk to you about an investigation to the officer?
No.
Has anyone called you? And it's wrong. It has to stop. You have to give people answers. There has to be transparency. And we've not heard anything. First thing is we're praying that this young man, Tyris, gets better and returns to full form. And second of all, we're hoping that there's an investigation into this shooting, not into Tyris. He's in the hospital. He's going through his own battle right now. And so those are the first two steps we want to take before we even get into a lawsuit. Definitely somebody is going to have to be responsible and held accountable for the shooting. But really, we want him to get well, and we want an investigation at this time. Okay. Any more questions? We're all done. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Very well, Nenye. Anything else? Yes. Thank you. appreciate that.